Welcome to the Daily Plunge. We are in the book of Genesis, chapter 12, picking up verse 10 through 20. Now, as Abram is wandering around the land of Canaan, it reminds us that he's not the holy father. He's a holy father. He's a patriarch of the faith. He's not dwelling amongst friends, but rather he's in the midst of enemies who are different in their worship, they're idolizing, false gods, and yet the Lord is preserving him. And as he roamed around, he doesn't find a place to really settle and remain at any length of time. And then along comes a famine, which forces him to migrate to Egypt. It is in this moment that Abram is tested. The Lord is putting Abram's faith to the test by this very trial. And when we see that Abram, that he decides to lie, and he convinces his wife to lie, urges his wife to lie, we are greatly offended by this. And for good reason, because Abram was supposed to be the protector of his wife, and instead he willingly and knowingly exposes her to the danger of adultery, and by extension, by this lie, he's also inviting the Egyptians into adultery. Because Abram values his own life more highly than the chastity and honor of his wife, and then as well as more highly than the welfare of others. And he goes into Egypt because it is known to be a place that is productive, that there's lots of food, but it's also known as a place of great tyranny, that the Pharaoh is this absolute ruler. And yet, God is going before Abram and protecting him. And even though Abram struggles and fails in his faith, right, and doesn't trust the Lord, God doesn't desert him. God does not permit him to break the covenant, even by his failure. And the Lord is going to deliver this godly couple, God-chosen couple, out of danger and fear. But the king and his royal house are going to be overtaken by the plagues, and they're going to be afflicted. Now, as you think about Abram, he must have recognized the great danger he put his wife in, and how they all were in great danger. He was worried for his own life, and he must have felt the emotions of despair. As part of the reason he despaired, that he had no ability to come up with another solution, that he lied like this. But then once it happened, he must have been filled with despair that his wife is in the house of the Pharaoh. And as he's troubled by the thoughts of the flesh, because he's human, the Holy Spirit leads him back to the Word, back to the promise, right? And as he's troubled by this, it causes him to think about how God is with him. Now, for Pharaoh, even though he is ignorant of what is actually happening, ignorance is never an excuse for sin before God. And God compels Pharaoh by the plague to let Abram go in order that he wouldn't inflict any more plagues, hurt upon him. And one of the things to recognize in this whole passage is that as godly people chosen by God, not perfect people, but chosen by God, we may experience many temptations and evils, so that we will be tested and grow in our faith. And we are often afflicted, not necessarily because we've sinned and we deserve it, but because we live in a world that is filled with brokenness, and this is keeping us humble and reliant upon God. Well, hey, thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.